So I request Dr. Bade to start our FDP by introducing the speaker of our first session, Professor V.K. Kothari.
Good evening to everybody. I will introduce Professor Vijay Kumar Kothari as a man of textile, because he all education from the graduation to the master PhD is in textile, and he's having a rich experience of more than 40 years in the textile field. He completed his graduation BTech from IIT Delhi in textile engineering in 1971 with first class and distinction. After that, he completed his master's and PhD from UK. Master's he's completed from Manchester Institute of Science and Technology, and PhD he completed from the University of Leeds, UK in 77. After coming back, he joined the IIT Delhi again as a faculty over there, and he held various professional administrative responsibilities and various roles. He served IIT Delhi around more than 40 years. He received various honors such as Honorary Fellow of Textile Institute, Manchester, UK, Honorary Fellow of Textile Association, Eminent Engineer Award by Institute of Engineers. His main research area was technical and functional textile. He's having a membership of various professional bodies, example Textile Institute, Textile Association, Indian Institute of Technology, Technical Education. He is also held the professional societies in that member Publication Committee, Textile Institute, member accreditation committee, the Textile Institute, chairman, North India section of the Textile Institute, honorary secretary, North India section of the Textile Institute, honorary secretary, IIT Delhi chapter of ISTE, member of council of the Textile Institute, UK. Further, he he's completed various editorial assignments, Journal of Textile Institute as an editor from 96 to 2005, and various publication houses he is associated from last, we can say that 30 years. With this, actually, when we had a discussion with Professor Kothari, he said that there's a problem with a web camera, so we cannot able to see him. For that point of view, we have put his photographs over here. With the brief introduction of Professor Vijay Kumar Kothari, who is a man of textile, I request Professor Kothari sir to start his talk. Professor Kothari sir.
Dr. Bade.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Sorry for the interruption. Before we can start the session, you can take the opportunity to welcome Parikh sir also. He is now available.
Okay, Parikh sir is there. Hello.
Please welcome him.
Mr. MG Parikh sir, if you are audible and if you can come in front of audience, switching on the camera, it will be nice. Yeah, I welcome Mr. MG Parikh, who is from Manmade Textile Research Association. he completed his graduation in textile, and the Surat textile in and out he knows because he spent almost 40 years of his life in the Surat textile industry. He is also handling some sessions. So I request to say a few words about the FDP and welcome the audience. Mr. Parikh sir, please.
On behalf of Mantra, Dr. Maiti has already welcomed all, and so I have nothing to add actually. It will be a very diverse, program. We have selected very good speakers. So I think time is running out, and therefore I request Dr. Kothari to start the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Please, Professor Kothari, sir.
Yes. Okay, good afternoon. I hope you are able to listen to me clearly.
Yes, sir.
Well, India has a very old tradition of textiles, which dates back to many centuries ago. The hand-woven materials were referred to in our Rig Vedas. In Indus Valley civilization, we could really see the references to the handlooms being in existence, and the Indian handloom fabrics were very popular even say 3000 BC and before that. So we have been really producing textile fabrics for a long time and have been sort of trading in textiles for really many centuries. So the textile continues to be in the Indian ethos, and we would really see how things have changed, and we have really come to the present, and what are the things which are important for the industry, what is the size of the industry, the way the industry is organized in this particular sort of presentation. If we really look at the textiles and clothing, which are basically extremely important for the human survival, these textiles is one of the basic needs of the human body. The other two basic needs are referred to as a food and shelter. Why do we really need textiles? We need to really protect our body from the hazards of the environment, be it the extreme cold or extreme hot weather, be it the sun rays or other environmental hazards. So in order to survive, the body would really need protection, and this is one of the functions which textile really fulfills in the form of clothing. We have a large population of 135 crore of people, so our domestic requirement of clothing is fairly large, and therefore we have the second largest textile and clothing industry in the world after China. And in addition to our domestic market, we also have substantial exports of textile materials the world over. We'll see this as we go along, why the textile is one of the most important industry in India. We are really present in a very diverse range of textile products, be it the hand-spun and hand-woven khadi products to the very sophisticated products manufactured by the most modern, up-to-date machines. So we have a whole range of industry scenario where we have a basic village level industry which is able to produce a very large chunk of our requirement, as well as we have very modern machines utilizing the best of the raw materials to produce extremely sophisticated high-end fashion products. We are really present in the diverse range of products, be it in the form of the yarns, which are the one-dimensional products and are used in many applications like sewing threads, twines, ropes, etc., etc. And they, in the linear form itself, are extremely useful and utilized in many applications. Then we really use textile products in the woven knitted forms, which are basically the yarns which we produce are converted by systematic arrangement of these yarns into a two-dimensional form, and therefore we are able to produce sheet materials which is extremely useful in constructing the clothing or the apparels in, on the one hand, home textile products on the other hand, and also many other products in various forms which are used by many other applications which we'll talk about in a while. Okay, so we also have a very diverse range of fibers we can really use. So Indian textile industry not only uses the natural fibers, which are cotton, wool, silk, jute, etc. So we have a lot of crop-based materials, or the materials which have a reproduction in nature and are referred to as a natural fibers and are being used by the Indian textile industry. We also use the new fibers which have been developed, the fibers which are based on the synthetic, that is crude oil synthetic fibers, or the cellulosic fibers which have been regenerated from the wood. And we also have new fibers which are being produced which have capability of withstanding high temperature, they have high chemical resistance, they have the properties which are unmatched and could really be used in many of the technical applications. So we have a whole basket of the raw materials which our industry is able to use, and many of these or most of these fibers are produced in India. Therefore, we have the basic requirement for the growth of an industry, that is the availability of raw material, which is filled quite adequately. We are able to really use the fibers to make fabrics directly, that is again a two-dimensional sheet material structure in the form of what is known as the non-woven product, which is a process of converting fibers directly into the sheet material without going through the yarn process. And because we are able to sort of eliminate a very slow and expensive yarn production process. So we are able to reduce the cost of the product, and we are able to produce a material which is low cost, as well as could be produced at a very high speeds. And this material one is able to see in the market, and this market is growing considerably. We are also in a business of producing three-dimensional fabrics. One of the examples of the three-dimensional fabric is the spacer. The two-dimensional fabrics have much less thickness in comparison to the length and the width dimensions of the fabric. Therefore, they are referred to as a two-dimensional fabric. But once we have fabrics which have substantial thickness in addition to the length and the width, they could really be referred to as the three-dimensional fabrics. And the spacer fabrics are also being produced for very many applications, such as furnitures, paddings, the cushioning materials, the medical materials, the other materials which are extremely important in many technical applications. Having said that, in terms of the forms of the material which we can really use, we can use the material in the fiber form itself as the material for making, say, filter candles, or for making or sort of filling up the things as a filling material. So we are having an industry which produces fibers and which is able to convert these fibers into yarns and convert the yarns into the many types or many structures like the woven, knitted, and maybe the laces or nets and other yarn-based structures which are useful. And then we have non-woven products, we have three-dimensional structures. So we have a whole gamut of the textile products which are possible to manufacture, and we have industry which is able to produce these materials. In terms of applications, we tend to divide the industry into three main groups. That is, the industry which is catering to the apparel products, that is the everyday wear which we are used to, our shirts, trousers, undergarments, the socks, and so on and so forth, jacket material and other materials which we put on in everyday use in the normal life. So these are referred to as the apparel apparels, and there is a whole range of textiles which are produced for the apparel industry, which converts these fabrics into suitable garments, or we could really take the textile materials and get it converted through our tailors into the useful apparel materials. Then we use textiles in our houses, which are known as household textiles, and in the homes we could really use it as a bed sheets, curtains, sofa cloths, and so on and so forth. So we have a whole range of products, textile materials, which are used in our homes for a variety of applications, and this itself is a very significant segment of the textile industry. In addition to these two, where the aesthetics plays a significant role, in addition to the protective aspects and the comfort aspects of the material, We also have a third category of application, which is growing significantly and will become increasingly important in times to come. This category is known as the application of textiles in the technical applications. That is, apply the textile material for uses other than the apparel and household, where the functional characteristics of the textile material becomes of primary importance and the other characteristics are of secondary importance. So just to name a few examples, you are all familiar with the filters which are used everywhere. In the industrial scenario, we use filters to really remove impurities. We filter air, we filter liquids in order to purify or remove solids from liquids or solids from gases or air. So air filtration, liquid filtration is just one example of the textile materials which gets used in applications other than apparels and household. Just to take another example, for civil engineers and architectural engineers, we use for civil engineers textiles under the earth for variety of applications. These geotextiles, which are increasingly becoming important as a civil engineering materials, are produced in the textile factories and is an important component. Similarly, in construction of the buildings or in terms of the tents, temporary structures, we use a lot of textile materials, and these architectural fabrics are also fairly important. We also tend to use a lot of textiles in agriculture, horticulture, and fisheries in order to protect our crops, in order to really improve the yield of the crops and protect the soil and so on and so forth. So it becomes important in agricultural field. Textiles are also important as the protection against various hazards. We have all heard of the bulletproof clothing to stop or resist the penetration of the bullet into the body. One would really need some form of clothing which would really retard the bullet and stop it within the clothing so that it doesn't really harm the vital organs of our body. So protection from bullets is just one example, but you need protection from fire, you need protection from extreme cold weathers, you need protection from arcs. So if you need protection from the electric shocks. So for all industrial application, we really have some sort of protective clothing which have been designed. If you really listen to the current scenario where we have this pandemic, we have the personal protective equipment for the medical people, which is being worn in order to really avoid the virus from entering our body. So we have a very large applications of textiles in hospitals for various wide applications. So we can really talk about this again in a very many great details, because there are large number of technical applications, and if you really are in certain industries, you would really need the textiles, whether it is for filtration or whether it is for polishing or for wiping, or it is for certain other applications in protecting the workers from the hazardous environment of the industrial working. So this was a little brief about the very wide applications of textiles which is possible. And in the apparels and household, we have more important fashion characteristics, the aesthetic aspects, the comfort aspects which become of primary importance, and in technical applications, the functionalities and the application really becomes the primary importance, and the job it is assigned has to be performed by the textile material. Now coming to the textile industry, the current textile industry that is in the modern form, if you forget about what was happening 3000 BC and before that, in form of the handloom fabrics being produced in the country, the current industry could really trace its history back to 1854, when the first textile mill was set up in Mumbai. This really refers to the mechanized version of producing yarns and fabric. So we have a history of around, say, 170 years or so, where we really moved on into an industry which is highly mechanized and could produce the fabrics at many times the rate at which the handlooms were able to produce the fabrics. The current domestic market of the textiles is around 100 billion US dollars, and we are also one of the bigger exporters of the textiles from the country. The textile exports currently stands at around 39.4 billion US dollars. These figures really refers to the FY 18-19 year. The current year figures are yet to come. So in terms of the size of the industry, in terms of the turnover of the industry, it is a fairly important industry. It is also a fairly important industry in terms of the exports. The textile exports account for nearly 14% of the total exports from the country. Textile industry contributes around 2% of the GDP and around 7% of the total industrial production. So whatever is produced in various industries, if they are all taken together, 7% of this would really be accounted for by the production of the textile and the clothing sector. We are, in terms of the industry, not only important in terms of the quantum of our production, but we are more important from the point of view of the number of people which are employed in the textile industry. Almost 45 million people get jobs in the textile industry, both as a skilled workers, semi-skilled workers, as well as the unskilled workers. This is the second largest employer of people in the industry after the agriculture. There is no other industry uses these many people except the agriculture. Okay, so as a employment generation, the textile industry is one of the most important industry, and the industry is organized in the form of clusters. There are almost more than 70 clusters spread over the country, which account for 80% of the production of the textile and the clothing industry. Surat obviously is one of the important textile cluster. Then we have the Bhiwadi, Bhilwara, we have Coimbatore, we have Tirupati, we have say Salem, we have Erode, we have Ludhiana, to just name a few of the big clusters which are important. But then there are many other important textile clusters which really either specialize in a particular product range or are important from the point of view of the size of the textile and the clothing production in that particular cluster. So we have a very large spread of textile units all over the country. There's a whole range of textile industry spread over the whole or the entire country as a whole. And the amount of production which we have in the last year from our spinning mills is around 500 lakh kilograms, and from the weaving sector around 190 lakh meters of fabric, which is a significant industrial production. And as we said that we have a large domestic market because of our large population of 135 crore people, and we also have, or we are also important from the point of view of generating export revenues through the export of the textile items. And we have a long history of both the domestic production and export from the country. And this industry, which is among the largest foreign exchange earner as well as domestic producer, has many advantages because we have a strong raw material base. We have a large pool of scientific workers, engineers, technical people, experts working in the industry. We have highly capable manpower, which is of a high caliber. We also have the basic processing and the technology base now in order to really sustain this industry and try to really develop this industry so that we could really sort of make the industry more sustainable, as well as could really increase the productivity of the industry to make the products at a competitive price. But we'll talk about this aspect a little later on in the presentation. So if you really have understood that the industry is fairly important from the point of view of the Indian economy in terms of the overall production, in terms of its importance in clothing the millions of people within the country, and in terms of earning the exports earning. Let's really look at what are our major strengths. As I said, that one of the major strengths is in terms of the raw material base. We have a very wide raw material base. We are the largest producer of the cotton fiber. We are the largest producer in the world of the jute fiber. We are the second largest producer of the silk fiber after China, and we are a significant producer of both synthetic and cellulosic man-made fibers, which are becoming increasingly important for a diverse range of our products. So we have a base in all fibers, be it cotton, wool, silk, jute, etc., etc. We also have a strong base in producing, say, polyester or viscose-based fibers, and we are also moving into producing more sort of functional fibers, more of the high high-tech fibers. And since our raw material base is fairly strong, we are able to sustain a large production base, and we could really be talking about this production base in a while, and what are its strengths and the weaknesses as such. So if I really stop at this moment and really ask you whether you are able to sort of listen to me so far and really are with me in terms of what I'm trying to talk to you. Hello, can somebody hear?
Yes, sir. Your voice is very clear.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Your voice is very clear. Hello. Hello.
Okay. I think people
Okay, so
are able
participants
to hear me at least.
Participants are requested to raise their doubt if any.
Talk back to me. So let's really look at some of the important segments of the industry in a little greater detail, so that the weaknesses of the industry as well as the strengths become more meaningful to talk. If we really look at the spinning, which is the conversion of fibers into the yarns, which are essential. Yeah. Okay. And everybody is with me now. Okay, thank you. So let's. Okay. Hello. It's okay. We can
Yes, sir, it is okay.
continue.
We can continue, sir. Just I am floating some questions to the
Can
participant.
we continue?
Yes, sir, we can continue, sir.
Participants are?
Yes, sir, we can continue.
Yeah, sure.
So I
But
am
we will
just
take up the question in the last 15 minutes if you prefer.
okay. Yes, sir. We can take it at the last one. So in
Hello?
general, I had floated one question.
Or do you really want me to take some of the questions now?
No, sir. We will
Sir,
take it at
actually,
the
these
last.
are the polls.
Hello?
Hello. Sir, these are the polls through which we can get the opinion of the audience, and that is we are conducting. This is not a question answer as such, but this is a poll we are conducting in between to make the student participant engaged. So you can continue with that. This poll we can be seen later on. Okay, sir. Professor Kothari, sir, you can continue.
You can throw the question, and maybe last 15 minutes we'll just take the questions. Okay, so we have another half an hour before we really stop for.
Yes, sir.
Should I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Have...
sir. You can continue, sir.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we will. Right. Okay. ठीक है. So. Right. Okay. We'll take some questions towards the and okay, thank you. If we really look at the spinning industry, which is basically converting fibers, which could be either natural fibers or could really be the manufactured fibers into the yarns in order to convert them into fabric. Yes. Okay, thank you. So we're looking at the spinning industry, and if we really look at the organization of the spinning industry, if we roughly take around 2,900 spinning mills in the country, we really have around 54% of these units, which is the spinning units, which are the large independent textile units, which produce just the textile yarns. Then we have around 30 5 to 38% of the small independent units which spin yarns from fibers, and these yarn will further go in for processing. So if we really go to the composite mills, which really do the entire sort of operations from uh, spinning, weaving, processing, and the final product, you really have only around 8 to 10% of the units which are really what are referred to as the composite mills. So to that extent, the number of composite mills in the country are relatively small as compared to the independent spinning units, both in the large scale as well as small scale sector. If we really talk about the weaving sector, and if we really take around 600 million units which are producing fabrics, we have around 2/3 of these units which are basically the handloom units. So we have still a very wide sort of footprint in the production of the handloom fabrics. The remaining units could really be broken up into the powerloom units as well as the units in the organized sector as such, and which are basically based on the electricity to run them. And again, the powerloom units are almost 35 to 40%, which basically leaves very small number of organized units in the fabric production sector. Again, in the processing sector, if we really look at, if we really take a base of around 2,300 processing unit, which basically do the post fabric, dip fabric production and do the sort of deciding, sort of sizing, deciding, and the dyeing, printing, finishing, etc., other operations. Only 200 of these units are in the part of the integrated units which are attached to the weaving or the knitting units. The rest of them are basically independent processing units, and bulk of the apparel and the home textile is therefore manufactured and processed by the small scale units. Now this has the advantage as well as the major disadvantage. The advantage being that these units are quite flexible. They could really take very small sort of order size and do the processing or do the production of the fabric or do the sort of small lot of yarn production. But if you really look at the lack of size, which really hinders the sort of bringing in the new sophisticated technology in the industry in order to produce sophisticated products. becomes a little difficult. The quality aspects cannot really be looked at in the great detail because of the lack of size of these units, and also the manpower which is attached to these units would also be limited in terms of their design and product development capability. So the innovation obviously tends to be a thing which suffers a lot because the size of most of the manufacturers in the country is not really large enough to look at the newer technology, absorption of technology, the collaboration with the foreign partners, and bringing in the new innovative products on a continuous basis. Having said that, we still have a large number of units which have been modernized. The latest technology has been brought in. The manufacturing has become lean. The number of employees have been reduced. So the human intervention in the production process has been reduced because of the automation which has been introduced in many segments of these industries. And this obviously helps in producing good quality fabric consistently. That is, what is important is the production of the fabrics which are of a good quality and which could really be supplied on a consistent basis. However, as I said, that because of the lack of size, the number of sort of big units may really be only around 100 or so, which could really absorb the new technology, could really spend money on the sort of quality management, which could really produce or sort of spend money on the research and development and bring out the new innovative products, are relatively small in number in relation to the overall size of the industry. If we really look at some of the bigger players, some of the names which are very familiar to all of you are, say, Arvind, Raymond's, Bombay Dyeing, Vardhman, Madura Ports, say, Welspun, Aditya Birla Group, Reliance, and so on and so forth. So we have a few fairly large units and other which are equally capable units which have really adopted the latest technologies and are producing world-class projects which have collaborations also with the foreign players and are able to produce the products which could really be exported in the large quantities. Another industry which is really coming up very significantly is referred to as the technical textile industry, which is trying to produce products which are used by many other industries. That is, they are being used by the mechanical engineering industry, electrical engineering industries, which are used by the, say, uh, civil engineers, architectural engineers, the products which are being used by, say, medical people, the products which are being used by the people who design and develop protective clothing, which people who really design the large bulk handling sort of packaging materials and many other applications where the functionalities has to be sort of satisfied. And there, a industry which at the moment is not fairly large, but is growing at a much rapid pace as compared to the apparel and the home textile industry, is being referred to as the technical textile industry. The Ministry of Textile has currently a technology mission on technical textiles where they would really like the industry to get into and become a significant player. Because if you really look at the developed economies like the USA, Japan, etc., 40 to 50% of their revenue come from the technical products rather than the apparel and home textile products. So for them, it is fairly important country. China is also a big technical textile player. The base of the Indian technical textile industry is still in the initial phases, but is expected to grow over a time at a much rapid pace, and therefore the government recognizes this importance and is helping the industry to grow further by many supportive policies and backing up. And if you really look at some of the protective textile requirements like the bulletproof clothing or the extreme cold weather clothing or the fire retardant clothing, or if you really look at the clothing which is required by the industrial workers who work in the near the furnaces in the industry, or the workers which are really exposed to electric shocks or the electric arcs, um, or the welding workers, or you really look at the mining workers, or people who are really in hazardous uh, work, or defense itself is a big really user of the technical textiles our armed forces is one of the biggest consumers. Similarly, our medical professionals are significant consumers of the medical textiles which are used in hospitals and in the treatment of patients in terms of the bandages, in terms of the products which can really be implantable or which could be used as the critical devices for a tissue engineering of the various tissues or the organs of the human body. So we have a fairly important sort of role to play in agriculture. We have an important role to play in architecture or construction. We have an important role to play in civil engineering, in preventing soil erosion, in sort of improving the life of the roads. We have a very significant role to play in the packaging of textiles, packaging of the various industrial products which could really be transported safely. We have a textile industry has an important role to play in the say uh, transportation, that is the automobile industry. If you look at the car, almost 20 kgs of the fiber goes into the car in terms of the say various filters, in terms of the seating, in terms of the seat belts, in terms of the airbag, in terms of the NBC products, that is the products which tends to reduce the noise, vibrations, and the heat from the engine which is running. So we have a very large application of textiles in all sort of automobile sector. We have large application of textiles in say railways, in aircraft, in this, and so on and so forth. If you really look at the gamut of this particular industry, which is a highly competitive industry, which where a lot of innovations are occurring on a continuous basis, we really need to have an industry which is uh, lean, agile, as well as look at the problems of environment, because many of the applications which were now developing, that is the disposable, say, clothing, the disposable sort of protective equipment, personal protective clothing, the disposable sort of wipes, etc. Um, and hygiene products like sanitary napkins, diapers, the incontinence products, and so on and so forth. We really have large environmental issues because we are going to generate more and more waste, because we have many of these applications which are single use application, that is after using textile material once, you basically throw away because of the health consciousness, because of the safety concerns, and generate lot of waste. And this waste has to be obviously disposed of. So there is a big environmental issues because the landfills cannot really hold the large quantum of the waste which we are generating, and therefore people are really looking at the possibilities of recycling many of the products which really live their useful life. They are looking at increasing the life of these products. They're looking at the issues which are related to the safe disposal of these textile waste materials. So the environmental issues are very important in order to have sustainability of these products. And recycling is just one of the things wherein the polyester bottles or synthetic materials are being recycled to really reproduce the fibers which could be then utilized in many products again. So from the sustainability point of view, this becomes an important aspect which industry would have to continue to look at, because many of the textile fibers are non-biodegradable. Most of our synthetic fibers are non-biodegradable, and since they are being produced in increasingly large quantities and being used in many of the disposable products, it becomes important to look at whether we can really develop biodegradable polymers which could really be utilized as textile raw materials. So a lot of R&D work is currently being done. We are also looking at the areas which really look at reducing the energy requirement for production, because one of the things which really happens is in the textile production, especially the textile processing, we use large quantum of energy as well as produce or use a lot of water. So the water resources become a limitation, and if you really don't sort of take this water and discharge it in the water bodies, then it really becomes a source of concern environmentally. So a lot of work is being done in looking at the issues of reducing the water consumption in the textile processing, recycling the water, removing the materials which are not really required in, that is dyeing finishes, printing waste finishes, etc., from the water, and then using the water again, so that the and then safe discharge or disposal of whatever waste is being produced from the textile factories or the process houses should really be looked at, so that our water bodies do not really become polluted. Our rivers do not really become polluted. The, uh, the water reserves under the ground do not really get polluted. So this is a serious concern and should really be addressed, and a lot of research work is continuing in this area. But come back to the advantages of textile industry and the way it's going to flourish in the years to come, uh, we could really cite that we have a very strong raw material base, which is very wide basket of fibers, which which we can use to produce textile materials. Then we also have the abundant skilled and technical manpower, which is required for conversion of this raw material into the useful textile products. Then we have the flexibility in the production of the small order lots. We also have the good entrepreneur skill and the sort of a generation of the people who have really grown in the textile industry. So we have a significant pool of entrepreneurs in the textile and the clothing industry. On the other side, if you really look at the weaknesses of this industry, we really have the small size and the technological sort of base where many of the units are um, having outdated technology and are using the units or the machines which are low production machines which have poor um, productivity as well as run at a lower efficiency. The quality issues are there because other than the spinning, most of our production in the weaving and the processing is by the units which are not really well organized. Um, then we have the issues which are really uh, related to the labor laws which are being addressed to a limited extent now. But if you really look at the requirement of the clothing to really clothe the 7 billion people of the world, and also look at the situation where the developed economies find it economical to really produce textiles, fabrics, and clothing items, they are really moving away from the textile industry into more high-tech industries, more industries based on latest sort of technologies, the current innovations, and sort of they would really like to work on the technologies which require lesser human intervention. Then we have the opportunity of really providing the textile and the clothing to a segment of the world population who is now moving away from the manufacturing area of textile and clothing. In order to really take this opportunity, because some of other countries are also really trying to utilize this uh, uh, space which is being vacated by the developing industry to move in. We have to really look at how to sort of technologically upgrade ourselves, how to really keep ahead of the competition, how to improve our productivity, how to really bring in new aspects in manufacturing which could really satisfy the requirement of the consumers, because now the manufacturing base may be shifting to India, but there are aspects which uh, are going to be important, because the information technology makes things uh, accessible to what is being produced, what quality measures are being taken, how the product is being sort of shipped, and many other issues which are connected with the textile trade uh, are really going a lot of changes. Therefore, it becomes imperative for the organized Indian manufacturers to really spend quite a bit of their effort in looking at their not only the manufacturing processes, but also looking at the skills of their employees, the way the quality is being managed in the company, the way the design and the other issues of the foreign buyers is being taken care of, the way you are able to satisfy the requirements of ever-changing environment of the world trade as such. Uh, in this, obviously, the cost competitiveness would have to be addressed significantly, because now everybody really knows at what cost the fabric or the garment would be produced. So unless you could really satisfy this, you would have to really compete with other competitors who are able to also uh, give the same similar type of material in a to the buyer, and therefore all aspects would have to be looked at in a very holistic way. The people are also sort of becoming important, aware of the issues of the type of facilities, the social responsibilities of the manufacturing organization, the facilities which have been given to the workers, the way the things are being managed at the production centers, and the way the things are being satisfied, because many of the products that are being manufactured would have to be supplied just in time, so that the fashion cycle, which changes fairly rapidly, is not missed. So you would have to really look at various other issues in addition to really improving your productivity, your production-based quality management systems, and also get into the areas where you could really sort of become a big player in the years to come. Another area which is becoming important is the sort of introduction of the smart materials, because of the various sort of technological changes which are occurring in the electronics industry, information technologies, biotechnology, nanotechnology, plasma finishing, etc. New and new fields could really be added to the textile materials. It is possible to monitor the human body through the sensors uh, and the communication devices in the textile clothing. It's also possible to really do certain changes in the clothing because of the changes in the environment. That is, by incorporating things like the phase change materials, by incorporating the phase uh, sort of the shape change materials and shape change polymers into the textiles, we are able to really impart the type of characteristics to the textile which were not possible earlier. And therefore, it becomes important that we really keep track of the type of innovations which are occurring world over and are able to adopt these innovations in a way that we are able to make the latest products which are sustainable to produce. We can really look at the environmental issues associated with the production process, as well as the disposal of these products, as well as try to sort of take advantage of developments which are occurring in other technologies and incorporate some of the learnings of these technologies into our production processes, into our products, such that we are able to sustain the industry in the long run. So this was a brief coverage of the textile industry, which is fairly big, which is the second largest producers of textiles including after China, and it's fairly important from the point of view of our economy, as well as providing employment to our people, that we are able to make these products in a most sort of productive and efficient manner, and also look at the developments and satisfy the requirements of the people using these products. So this in brief was what I wanted to cover. It really had gone a little long to listen to, but I hope you are able to really see the importance of the industry in terms of its size, in terms of its diversity, in terms of the potential of the industry, and sort of see whether in your area and some of the textile products could really be utilized, and the way these products could really be produced within the country. So this brief I'll stop for a while and let me really look at whether you have really got something which you are to ask.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hello.
We got a wonderful journey of textile
We really
industry.
have some.
Yes, sir.
Anything which we really want to discuss again? Or
yes, sir. We have a very good question. We have a question.
To give a little more thoughts on this.
Yes, sir. We have a few questions.
Since it is for the people who are not directly connected to textiles, maybe they should really look more around themselves and see where exactly are they using textile materials and how these materials are working for them. Okay.
Sir. Hello.
Thank you.
Kothari sir, hello sir, are you able to listen to me? Sir, we have a few questions. I will take only one question out of it. This question says that what are the thoughts on reviving of textile industry after this pandemic situation and the challenges we have? So I will once read the question or little bit edit it. Because of the pandemic effect.
Okay, if you don't have any question for me, I have a question for you. Can you look around yourself or the industry you work in or the area you work in and see where you can really use the textile materials, be it in the fiber form, be it in the form of a fabric, or in the form of a yarn, rope, twine, etc. etc.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for
Many of
your wonderful
the
talk.
industrial applications where it is extremely important as a reinforcement material. If you look at the tire cords, the most of the strength bearing element in the tire is the cord which is used, which is a textile material. If you look at the conveyor belts, again, the belts have a reinforcing material, which is a textile material.
Hello.
Many of the composites which are used are textile materials. So the structural composites are being used now to construct the body of a car, reduce the weight of an aeroplane, sort of trying to make a coach much lighter, decrease the speed or reduce the fuel consumption, etc. So textile not only is used alone, but also is used along with the other engineering materials in order to create composites which are extremely useful in reducing the weight of the composite, enhancing the performance, trying to give it the type of properties which are not possible with one material.
Sir, I think there is a network problem from the Professor V.K. Kothari sir's side, and he suddenly left out from this software. I think this is now 3:30, and we have the next session at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock session is very interesting, and for that